Hey guys, it's Zeteo here. Today we're doing a replay analysis. We're taking a look at Kaldra as they play a 1v1 on Isidis Crack against Lord James? Yeah, Lord James. So it's a lower OS game here. I'm not doing like a cast, I'm doing a more of a analysis, how do you play better kind of dealio. So let's jump in here. Let's get our music going. All right, so we get Kaldra here at the bottom left-hand position here. This is Isidis Crack. It's a 14 by 14, pretty commonly played 1v1 map. Um, right away, I'd say this is a very defensive starting position here. So with that, you are an 8v8 player. I'm going to speed up this like beginning part of the game a little bit because I assume that you are able to manage your resources at least somewhat here. But yeah, getting that bot lab going. And let's take a look how you progress here. So yeah, okay, so first up, try not to boost when you're low on energy. That was probably just an APM issue, not really like you're thinking about it wrong kind of issue. But yeah, getting some ticks out to look around. So this is all good stuff. We do need a radar at some points here. But yeah, Commander, I mean, yeah, the wind is low, so you're adding on all these wind turbines to help that out, which is fine. When it's this low, though, you might want to consider a solar, and this is a big deal that you're moving your commander out without boosting stuff out of here. I mean, I suppose you can say yeah, like wind's low, you're not building very fast. You might as well like use that time to move. Like that's a pretty common idea. But at the same time, you have all this metal to work with, and if you're not boosting out your cons and stuff in the early game, you're just getting further and further behind because now you have all this metal you can't spend. Now you need cons to like add on energy and you just don't have them. So now you're building all these cons slowly and not having that many units out, right? So this is becoming kind of dangerous in a way. Now Commander's out on this position, expanding quickly. So your metal is going to start rising. So you're going to need a lot of cons to go with that. And yeah, you're doing this awkward thing where you kind of need energy, so you're adding on energy, but then you also need to boost, so then you're boosting. And yeah, you are getting more cons, which is good. Like you do need to be able to do that. These two, well, I mean, for the most part, you should want to use all your cons here to assist this. Yeah, there you go. But there is like maybe reason, if you feel like you need units like to be able to have a couple of cons crank out units instead of assisting the con turret. So it's sort of like I need units now and not later kind of thing. So it's just like a give and take kind of situation. Now you are pressuring on Blue's expansion, seeing where his commander is and all that. So this is okay, but because your commander moved out so quickly, you just really don't have like it's hard to have the infrastructure if it moves out too quickly like that. Okay, so you look at the situation, you say you wants vehicles, so now you're building vehicles, so you have this transition. In 1v1s, or I should, let me phrase this more towards 8v8s. So in 8v8s, this would make a lot of sense because, you're trying to get those more powerful units. You have a narrow place to use them, and so powerful units are a good choice here. But in 1v1s, you got so much room to grow and expand that like that little bit of time wasted going for a vehicle lab here is just kind of lost. Like I would delay that a little bit more and work up more concerts, get more constructors out, start expanding, start grabbing these. Maybe put a radar up here as well so that you have some backup radar in case something goes wrong and you lose the ones on your front here. So I don't know. I would consider just delaying this a bit so that you can crank out more units. So you're already kind of pushing yourself behind because of that, because of the transition. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I mean, you're able to get up these stronger units a little bit faster and have all these blitzes out. And unfortunately, though, these blitzes are not doing too much. Yeah, so, I mean, you are raiding on this right-hand side. You've got some pawns going. You got some blitzes going. You're kind of neglecting the center, though. And I know you know that there's a commander here. So you know, maybe you don't want to push down this avenue here, but this side here should primarily be open. And to some degree, you want to push units down these avenues a little bit more than on the sides because you want to see what's coming towards you and react to it. When you push units along the sides like this, it's really hard to see and know it's hard to get units that are over here pushing back over here to defend. So it's just this like situation where you're kind of leaving yourself vulnerable because of that. These blitzes do get in. They are faster than these incisors, but a lot of them get picked off there. So unfortunately, you're just kind of taking damage and losing those units. Same with the pawns here. You just kind of lost those. I was kind of hoping that was a self-D, but unfortunately not. All right, so then at the same time here, with these cons pushing up here, this is pretty far away from your radar. And so I'd say before you even leave this range, you want another radar. Like I would maybe put one here-ish, just so you can see further and see up here, so that if units pressure down this avenue, you can respawn and get some blitzes over there in time. All right, so you got some blitzes over here running around trying to do some damage. So you're trying to kind of like pull your opponent apart with these big raids, which is pretty typical. Like you can do pretty well with this at these lower levels for sure. And I mean, yeah, it's actually totally fine that you're doing this, as long as you're mindful and you don't just like waste them. Now your opponent did add on a lot of these exploiters, so you aren't able to get as much damage done as you maybe wanted to. You're sending another force now, and this is great. This is actually a really good call considering that your opponent went into rocket bots here. And so what that means is these rocket bots, of course, can threaten these laser towers, and they can kind of slowly push this way, but it kind of gives you a lot of room and a lot of time to do these raids on the sides. So it is a good call by you to do that. And so you're getting these blitz in here. They do run into this force of incisors, so that unfortunately a lot of them are going to get surrounded here. But yeah, actually they're able to push through. Maybe they get some damage done. And you know, at the same time though, these are going to leave a lot of wrecks behind, you know, and that means that your opponent's just going to like you're losing that army value, first of all. Secondly, your opponent's going to be able to either resurrect, reclaim, or do something with those wrecks at some point, which is going to put them into a stronger position here and have more units. So you might want to like limit the number of big raids that you do like that, and just try to like grow a little bit faster. So yeah, I mean, overall at this point, I would say try to grow faster than you are and try to do a little bit less raids, because now you're having to deal with all the units. Like, let me put it this way: every time that you raid like that, you're trading your units and potentially giving those units to your opponent to potentially do economic damage. And if you don't do enough economic damage with those units, then the raid is a bust and you're just putting yourself behind. You know, so while raids can be really nice, I think you just got to be a bit more careful with them. Scout ahead with units instead of sending the entire force down a ways and not knowing where they're going and not knowing what they're running into. So I guess try to make the raids smaller, but be in more places. Like spread out those raids so you got like 10 guys going this way, another 10 guys going this way, instead of doing 20 altogether, and that'll just tax your opponent's APM and make it harder for them to defend and increase the likelihood that you're going to do some economic damage. And then, you know, also thinking about the exploiters, like you do want to have a lot of units together for that. So you don't want to break it up too much, but breaking it up somewhat will be a bit helpful here. But yeah, so your opponent came in with this big force. This is kind of doing the same thing that you did. Oh, this is unfortunate. This is bad. All your wins stacked together like that is not ideal. They were not spaced whatsoever. They needed at least have a 1 space. Ideally, a 2 space is better. You know, like especially in a 1v1 where you have the space to spread out like that. Yeah, anything that comes in there, like 1 pawn, 1 incisor, whatever it is, can just destroy the entire stack, and that's not good. And now you're sitting at a pretty big energy loss at the moment. So, you know, this just hurts a lot. Now, you took a lot of damage, and now it's up to how you rebuild. And now your opponent has a big chunk of the map because your raids didn't do so well. So yeah, I would just say try to raid in smaller groups, or at least scout. You know, maybe you can even add on some rovers, you know, to scout ahead of your raiders, and then you can know exactly what you're running into. Because yeah, throwing away those units certainly hurts. Actually, this is a nice trade by you right here. All those Janus shots against that ball of units, that was huge. But yeah, taking a sizable trade here. Sorry, I just selected the wrong guy. Kaldra, you know, 2,000 metal, you know, benefit there. Taking out 2,300 metal worth of units with those Janus shots compared to how much you've lost there. Is a very big deal. So yeah, now you're doing this frontal assault down here with these power units, which is great. You know, but at the same time, you know, there's just a lot of room back here that your opponent has, and it's relatively undefended. Now, exploiters are great, like defenders. They have a ton of hit points for how much they cost. But you should try to pressure this. I mean, I suppose you want those big, powerful units to contend with these units here, but you know, if you're able to crank out some raiders, some blitzes to try to take down those exploiters, I think you know, that's really where this game went wrong here, is your opponent just has so much more of the map, and you're kind of forced into this corner at this point. So you know, this is really tricky spot to be in at this point. It's kind of already lost. You do still have the army advantage. And so you really need to take down his economy in a big way. You know, and these slow units pressuring his army is, you know, they're just not going to be able to do all that much. So, all right, so there's the tap out. But yeah, just to pause here and talk about, like, okay, what is the most, like, the biggest, most important things that went wrong this game? So first of all, I think the commander moving out when it did was a pretty sizable mistake. I mean, yes, the wind was low, so it's like, yeah, you kind of want to move out at that point, but at the same time, you know, you had so much metal to work with still that, like in an 8v8 situation, that's fine, because, like, you know, getting your commander to the front to protect your small, narrow area is very, very helpful in an 8v8. But here, it's so open that no matter where your commander goes, his army or raiders can still get in somewhere. So, you know, it's more about spending that money to set yourself up to have a stronger infrastructure for the later game, and trying to do that as much as possible. So spend that metal before you move out. Wind was low, so you know, slap down a solar collector or two if needed, and work from there. Because yeah, just trying to slowly build up with the few cons that you had. I mean, I think you built up with 0 cons, so you moved your commander out, had no cons, and we're trying to just, like, add on more and more cons, and all that time was kind of wasted. You know, you had a con going this way, you had your commander expanding this way, and that's great. Like, you didn't, like, really lose that much economy that way, but because you're still setting up your infrastructure and building on more cons and nanos and things, and then switching into vehicle, you just kind of gave up a lot of your army value that you could have had. So I would stick with the bots a little bit more and try to pressure your opponent in various locations with those bots before the exploiters get up and running, and try to take out those cons. I mean, and then you did those raids with the blitzes, which, you know, in theory, that's a good call, considering they were doing slower units from this position here. And it's going to take time for them to get to your base. So in the meantime, before they get there, you can do all these raids down certain, you know, down these avenues. But unfortunately, your raids were these big raids and were shut down by the incisors. So Lord James did a great job of just having enough radar and seeing what's coming ahead of time to put his units into position to defend. And then, yeah, going like that, I guess I don't know if it was the second big raid that you did, but like you had that big raid that went straight for the main base. That's generally a no-no because for sure they're going to see it, and whatever units they have um, are probably going to respond because it's a sizable raid that can end the game. So, you know, Lord James is doing a good job with the incisors, you know, pinching your forces against this wall, and you know, you basically losing those blitzes for very little damage. Um, whereas like spreading them out, having some like I mean, and actually, like sending, even if you sent the entire raid over to this right hand side, would have been a better call than going for the main directly. So what you really want to do is like the biggest priority that you have. I mean, yes, like it would be nice to do some damage, but like it's so risky because of the reasons that I pointed out. What you really want to do is go for the cons that are expanding. Take these out, and then all of a sudden they have to replace it. They have to send a whole nother con over to expand, and then you know start taking more territory. Um, but because you lost so many units there, and this push was still coming in towards you, uh, you know basically you didn't do any damage back here. So now all of a sudden, you are forced to build units to defend this big push coming, and you can't really afford the units to do the raiding on the sides, which is what you really needed to do, and you were trying to do it, but yeah, just like where you sent them and how it got shut down uh, did not help. So um, yeah, it's just kind of just how it goes if you make a risky play like that, going for the main, or if it gets shut down in a place. So um, I guess with that, I should probably talk about like if you're sending a raid through and you run into a lot of defense, um, you don't want to just fight the defense because like if you're you know blitzes go forward and you see a bunch of incisors and you trade, even if you trade effectively, all that metal is going to them. All those wrecks that are left behind from the battle goes to them because it's in their base. So you want to hit the peripherals a little bit more and go for the cons. And then when you run into those defenders, into those incisors, you want to back out of there. You want to get the heck out of Dodge because, uh, you know, you don't want to trade in his territory. And so it's better to just kind of save those units for later, and then you can apply that pressure later on instead of losing those units and then not having that pressure later. Um, so like for example, you know, you send your incisors up, maybe you do go for the main base. Like I don't really suggest it, but let's say you do, you run into some incisors here, and now all of a sudden you say, okay, I need to get out of here. Let's just go out this way, pull his army away from here, and then you can send a whole nother group of incisors this way or something. Or maybe you send your you know your raiders back this way. It's also reasonable to like split your army too. This is a tactic that I use a lot. Is I'll you know send my raiders up one way, run into resistance. I'm like, okay, there's a resistance here. Maybe you know that they already expanded here, and I will split my army. I will send some of it up this way, some of it back this way, and then usually they chase one of those groups. And you know it's like it's kind of saying like, okay, my opponent needs to be you know good enough to split his army into these groups and defend both these places, otherwise I will do damage. um, and yeah, it's always better to run away from your opponent than to engage and lose it, or to engage it straight up. Like running away actually gives you better um, like gives your units a little bit more range in a way. Like the all the weapons are predictive, so it's like where's the enemy going to be when the shot you know connects to that spot. So running away actually provides a little bit more of that prediction. Like it's a little bit easier for the weapons to predict because your opponent's moving towards you. um, so yeah, I would send some units up this way, and they'll probably chase that because this is what they want to defend, right? So then you send your other group of units down this way back home, but then because you see all those units chasing, now you can come in here with that second group and apply pressure again. And if this was a different map and say like the map continued out to the right here, um, you know, you could even split it up further, like have some go this way, some go that way, and some back, and then back around. Um, Come on. Ah, geez, that's the wrong button. It's because I have that selected. Uh, but yeah, just to like do different things with them. Um, and yeah, that just taxes the APM. I don't know if you have the APM for it. Oh, Jesus. That's quite a bit of APM that both of you have. So it's really just about like, what are you spending that APM on? Are you just, a lot of the time at these lower levels, it's like spam clicks. Um, when ideally it's like, okay, you zoom out, you select a third of your army go this way, a third of your army go this way, another third goes down here. And you just like retreat this army, have it chill, and then if you don't see his units kind of peel off and like keep a force back here, then you can just send them back in again, type of thing. Um, but yeah, you're taxing your opponent a lot with that, and either they're paying attention or they're not. Um, it's also a good opportunity to maybe raid this way as well, and just like be annoying at so many different locations. Because yeah, either way, like what you want to do and what you were doing was trying to abuse the fact that these slower units are not able to defend. And so with that, I mean, and honestly, it comes down to an economic issue more than anything else, because your opponent's able to collect this group of slower units and have enough to defend you, which means you're just behind. And so that goes back to the whole how you opened with the cons and stuff, and switching into the vehicle lab and all that not being as great. So anyways, I hope that teaches you something. Yeah, I think this is a pretty good textbook case of be careful with your raids and be careful with how you're opening up there. um, but yeah, hope you learned something. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll get back to you about that. And thanks for watching.